telling us what they make of markets currently. But with that, we shift focus to, well, Mahindra Holidays. We have Manoj Bhat. He's a managing director and chief executive officer who joins us on the show. And he will take us through what he has made of his company's earnings. Manoj, good morning, and thank you so much for joining in. Manoj, in the past few years, actually in the past many years, we've seen you under many hats. Now you take over as Managing Director and CEO of Mahindra Holidays. Tell us how you're making of the quarter, as well as what we can expect going forward, especially now that we are in festive season and holiday season as well.
So thank you, Agam, and thank you for having me on the show. So if we look at, I mean, maybe I'll start with where we see the industry. I think from our current data, what we are looking at, I think we are seeing the upturn in terms of travel, in terms of people holidaying. All of that continues to be very, very strong. So from that perspective, I think the trend continues and remains intact, which augurs well for the entire industry and also for us. From our own perspective, I think if you look at our journey, I think overall, I think two big focus areas. So one is in inventory addition, I think has been pretty strong. So we have added about 219 rooms, 3 new destinations in the quarter. If I look at from a revenue perspective, we were up about 12% on the standalone level. Effectively, I think member additions was about 3,500 members, which while it's lower than last year, but the real good part here is that we are focusing on premium customers and changing the mix accordingly. So if you look at our average sales value, or AUR as we call it, that's up 28% over the same quarter last year. So clearly a good quarter, a good steady quarter, and I think the trend remains intact is what I'll just stop this at.
So, Bhat, hi, it's Amina joining in, and of course, I just want to elaborate and talk to you about a couple of points that struck us with the earnings. There is indication there have been challenges in the international markets. So Finland, Sweden and Spain is what I believe has led to a significant impact on your profitability. You want to tell us what you are doing in order to offset that going ahead? And also geopolitical tensions, they aren't going to go away in a hurry from what we understand. Increased travel costs, that's the other problem I believe for your business. Do you expect this trend to continue or sort of top out in the second half of the year?
So let me spend a minute on HCR, or Holiday Club Finland, which is our subsidiary in Europe. So if you look at that business, I think it has been impacted by two things. One is, of course, the Ukraine war has significantly brought down the number of visitors from Russia because there's no travel allowed, as well as an overall slowdown in the economy in Finland. So I think we are seeing a little bit of an adverse kind of climate from an economic conditions perspective. But if you look at the business, I think last year, for example, I think the business went through a bad downturn. And what the management team there has focused on is actually working within this environment to stabilize the business. So if you look at it, I think if I look at the half year performance for that business, it's better than where it was last year. I think the focus for us is to stabilize that business and then kind of look at growth going into the future years. So really, that's the big focus area there. On your other question, I think what I do feel that currently we are not seeing any impact of some of the geopolitical tensions which you mentioned, because if you look at things like oil price, etc., I think it has cooled off substantially. The second thing is, I think from our customer addressal, the segment which is probably impacted, we are not addressing today. So I think we are not seeing that kind of an impact as of this point because of the tensions which we are seeing globally.
Just a quick one on margins, especially your international margins have contracted due to higher operational cost. Going into the second half of the year, do you expect that to stabilize and potentially see an expansion in your margins?
So I think from a margin perspective and specifically on international, as I mentioned, if I take a full year basis, I would say that overall the international operations will perform better than last year. And it's quite seasonal. So if you look at quarter one was negative, quarter two is positive, quarter three will probably be a middling quarter, and quarter four is the biggest quarter. So I think on a full year basis, we would see international margins better than last year is our expectation.
A question on your expectations on tariffs. How are they panning out given the current demand and supply environment going forward? Do you expect some stabilization? Because last time around we saw a big spurt in tariffs, and now it does seem like we're seeing some stability. But do you think there's scope for growth, one, or do you think that these prices are likely to stay around these levels now, at least for the near term?
So Agam, I think if I look at a point-to-point data in terms of tariffs, I think they're still up about, I think, 9% compared to last year. And this is industry data. Our model is, as you know, is very different. We are a member-based model, so we really don't go with the market definition of tariffs, so, and more about membership income and how we recognize that. Actually, from my perspective, I think we should see a period of stabilization, is what I feel. Although I think this is the biggest quarter coming up, October, November, December, and we'll see the trends. But I do feel that the rate of growth might slow down in terms of tariffs. And occupancy is up compared to last year, same time. So overall, from an industry perspective, I think tariffs will stabilize, occupancy will continue to remain high. I think that's the way we are looking at it.
All right, Manoj, we leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us and taking us through the quarter gone by, what we can expect. Wish you a very happy Dhanteras and season's greetings to you as well. Of course, that's the management of Mahindra Holidays telling us about what we can expect. But from there on, we shift focus back to markets.